We will start with the 100. Take a deep breath. Lie tall. Imagine that gold thread pulling your head to the back of the room. Shoulders back and down. Engage your TVA, your deep core muscles, to 20 to 30%. Engage your pelvic floor to 20 to 30%. Have a neutral spine. Tilt your pelvis back and forth if needed. A neutral spine. Raise that first leg into tabletop and imprint. Think ribs to hips and raise that second leg to tabletop. Take an inhale here. And when you're ready, raise your head and shoulders off the ground. Now start bouncing your hands and your arms very gently. And if you're ready, you may progress to extend both legs one at a time. But don't feel you need to, that's an optional progression. Continue to bounce your arms. Imagine small little bouncy balls under your hands. Continue to engage that core to 20 to 30% and engage that pelvic floor to 20 to 30%. Ensure you have that deep lateral thoracic breathing. Imagine your ribs are opening up like an umbrella as you do the deep breathing. In your own breath. And then slowly we're going to return one leg at a time to tabletop. And once they're both in tabletop, we'll lower your head and shoulders and your arms. And then one leg at a time back down on the mat. Take a breath here. Next, we're going to go into the shoulder bridge. Take another breath. And first, I'd just like you to do a pelvic tilt. So inhale, and on the exhale, tilt your pelvis. Next time, we're going to rise up. So inhale, tilt that pelvis on the exhale and come all the way up into a bridge. Inhale at the top, and on your exhale, come down vertebrae by vertebrae, your pelvis being the last. Inhale. And on your exhale, tilt that pelvis up first and vertebrae by vertebrae rise to the top. Imagine a diagonal line across your body and back down again vertebrae by vertebrae with your pelvis being last. Inhale, and on the exhale, tilt that pelvis vertebrae by vertebrae to the top. And this time we're going to lift your left heel off the ground, return it down, and then lift your right heel off the ground, return it down, and back down onto the mat, vertebrae by vertebrae, pelvis last. And again, inhale, on your exhale, tilt the pelvis first, and then vertebrae by vertebrae off the mat into that diagonal. And again, lift your left leg this time into the air, into tabletop, and then return to the ground, and then your right leg. Make sure you keep your hips stable doing this action. Back to the ground, and then back down to the mat. Inhale, and on your exhale, tilt that pelvis first, and then vertebrae by vertebrae off the mat into that nice diagonal. And again, we're going to lift that leg into tabletop. Keep the hips stable, leg back down, and second leg up into tabletop. Back down again. Slowly come back down into the mat. And this time we're going to do a different progression. So one more time up, tilt that pelvis, and then arms are going to go overhead and then back down again. A nice slow controlled movement, and then lower back down to the mat. Inhale here. Exhale, tilt that pelvis up into that diagonal, arms overhead. Take a breath. On your exhale, bring your arms back down first, and then slowly bring your body back down onto the mat. Wonderful. Now come into a full body stretch as your release stretch. So that's arms up over the head, legs out straight, and really feel that nice stretch there. Take a breath and come back into lying supine. As we're back in lying supine, just remember your setup, nice and tall in the head, shoulders stabilized, and engage your pelvic floor and TVA to that 20 to 30%. Now we're moving on to your single leg stretch. So please bring your first leg into tabletop, imprint, so ribs to hips, second leg into tabletop. Take a deep breath here. And then we're going to extend one leg at a time. So as you extend that leg, and we're going to alternate between legs, but imagine a beach ball is in front of you and you're pushing that beach ball against the back wall. And feel free to stay at this level, but if you would like to progress, and it's an optional progression, then you can lift your head and shoulders and your arms off the ground, hold in this position, and then continue with the legs, one leg at a time, alternating, pushing away, pushing against that back wall. You'll see here that my feet are in plantar flexing, so they're pointing, my toes are pointing towards the wall or towards the ground, away from the shin. It's a controlled movement, it's a slow movement. Pilates is all about focus and precision. Remember to engage your core and your pelvic floor to that 20 to 30% throughout. And remember your deep breathing, your lateral thoracic breathing. So really breathing in to the deep rib cage and into your lower abdominal, not your chest. This isn't chest breathing. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Excellent, good job. We're just going to do one more here. And as you come back into tabletop, the arms and head are going to go down first. And then it's one leg at a time, bringing it back down onto the mat. Great job. Our next exercise is the double leg stretch. So once again, if we could bring the first leg into tabletop, nice and slowly, nice and controlled. Imprint, so you're really engaging those core muscles. Think ribs to hips, and that protects your back and protects your muscles. This time I'd like to bring your arms up towards the ceiling and start some slow circles and some small circles. So this really helps with circulation. And then pause and extend the legs for an optional progression. You don't need to extend the legs if you're already challenged, but if you'd like to extend both legs, you may. And then continue with those circles. Imagine you're circling small plates on the ceiling. If you would like, you could start to expand those circles slightly. So again, slow and controlled movements. And just imagine those small tea plates have gone into large dinner plates. Really large dinner plates here, but slow and controlled movements. So this is a great exercise for your shoulders to really help with that stability and mobilization of your shoulders. Also great for circulation, and of course that core engagement with those extended legs. So remember your TVA, those deep core muscles should be engaged at 20 to 30%. Your pelvic floor should be engaged at 20 to 30%. You should have deep breathing throughout, so in through the nose, out through the mouth. Deep and controlled breathing. Good job. Now return your legs into the tabletop position. Slowly bring your hands and arms to the ground, and one leg at a time, onto the floor. Good job. A release stretch here is the full body stretch. So stretch out your legs, arms overhead, stretch your hands to the back of the room, take a deep inhale and slowly come back into lying supine position. Our next exercise is scissors. So bring your first leg into tabletop, imprint, bring your second leg into tabletop, raise your head and shoulders off the ground, ensure your core is engaged, and then bring one knee towards the chest, pointing the other toe away from the body. So knee to chest and then alternate between legs. Use your hands to cup around your shin just to aid with that position. One leg pushes away while the other is brought towards your chest. Nice and slow and controlled. Ensure your core, those deep muscles, are engaged to 20 to 30% and your pelvic floor should be engaged to 20 to 30%. Think about your breathing. Think about the flow of the movement. Concentrate on your breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth if you're able to. Slow and controlled movement. It's a nice stretch as well for the hamstring. And in your own time, return your legs to tabletop, head and shoulders to the mat first, and then one leg at a time onto the mat. Our next exercise is the side kick. So lie on your side, lower arm all the way stretched out with the palm facing down and your head resting on the upper part of your arm, legs stretched out, supporting arm in front of you, and use a block if needed. Inhale, and on the exhale, gently raise your top leg just above the bottom leg and then back down again. And again, inhale, and on your exhale, gently raise that top leg and sweep it out in front of you in a slow and controlled movement. And we're going to dorsiflexi that foot and then plantarflexi it home and then back down on the lower leg. Inhale, and on your exhale, lift that foot, dorsiflexi it out, so it's naughty toes out, flexing the toe towards your shin, plantarflexi home, so that's pointy toes home, and lower the leg again. Inhale, lift that top leg, dorsiflexi the ankle out, so toes towards the shins, plantarflexi, so pointy toes home, and lower the leg again. Continue with your own breath. This is a slow and controlled movement. Engage your core, engage your pelvic floor to that 20 to 30%, and deep lateral thoracic breathing. I'd like you to draw your attention to just under your waist. And I want you to imagine a little mouse hole under your waist, or a little ice cube or tea light, because there should be a little hole under your waist between the mat and your waist. And that just, if you have that little hole, that just ensures you really are engaging your core and your deep muscles. Continue with your own breath. We're going to close this exercise in a moment. So last one here. Controlled movement. Bring those pointy toes home. Lower the leg gently. And for a release stretch here, you can pull your knees towards your chest and just hug your knees in. Now we will do the side kick on the opposite side. So lie on your opposite side, legs out straight, hips stacked on top of each other, knees stacked on top of each other, ankles stacked on top of each other, lower arm stretched out, palm facing down, head resting on the upper part of your arm, and the top arm is your supporting arm. Use a block if needed. here, and on the exhale, lift that top leg and bring it back down again, nice and slow. Inhale again, and on the exhale, lift that top leg and sweep it out in front of you, dorsiflexing that ankle, so that's toes towards the shins, and plantar flexing the ankle home, so that's pointy toes home. Again, lift that leg, sweep it forward, dorsiflexing out, plantar flexi home. In your own breath, continue. Again, I'd like to draw your attention to engaging that core, and just think about the lower part of your waist, and there should be a small little mouse hole between the mat and your waist. So think about a little tea light candle or a little ice cube if it's a hot day under your waist. There should be a little hole there to keep your core engaged. Also engage your pelvic floor to that 20 to 30%, and deep lateral thoracic breathing. So really open up that rib cage and deep breathing. Inhale and exhale, lift the leg, sweep the leg in front of you, dorsiflexing, so toes towards the shins to come out, plantar flexi home, so pointy toes home. Continue with your own breath. It's a slow and controlled movement. You should not feel pain throughout. It should be challenging but not painful. If you experience any pain, please slow the movement down and have a smaller range of movement, which might be only lifting the leg above the bottom leg. Gentle and controlled movement, and really focus. We're almost finished with this exercise. And when you're ready, your release stretch is drawing your knees towards your chest and hugging them. Nice release stretch there. Next, we're going to move on to the plank. So please move on to all fours, knees on the mat, hands on the mat. Hands should be below your shoulders, knees below your hips, and your knees should be hip width apart. Take an inhale here, curl your toes under, and then just lift your knees, only your knees off the mat. Pause for a moment, hold that core, engage that core, and then gently back down again. Inhale here, and on the exhale, you're going to move your feet back and come into a full plank. If you wish, you may stay at that lower level if you wish. So now in this plank position, there should be this diagonal line from your ankles to your shoulders, and your head should be facing down. Imagine a good book between your hands. I'd like you to really study that book right now. Really focus, eyes down, reading that book. Your hips should be stable. Engage that core. Continue with your deep lateral thoracic breathing. So expand that rib cage as you breathe deeply. Engage the core and engage your pelvic floor. This is a fantastic exercise for your core. In your own breath now, continue if you wish, but if you wish to come back down slowly onto your knees. We're going to continue for a moment here. Deep inhale. Keep your focus, keep your concentration. Not long now. One more deep inhale. We're almost there. And then slowly, when you're ready, come down onto your knees. Your release stretch here is child's pose. So toes together, lean forward, put your arms forward, stretch your hands as far forward as they can. Child's pose is my favorite, a really nice release for your back, feels fantastic, and for your hips. Deep breath while you're in child's pose. Chest should be down between your knees. Hands together, your thumbs could be touching. and come up when you're ready. This exercise is the spine twist. In your seated position, bring your hands together in front of you, middle finger under your chin, thumbs on your collarbone. Deep inhale at the front, and on your exhale, twist slowly to one side in a controlled motion. Inhale here and exhale, return to center. Inhale here, and on your exhale, move to the other side. Continue with your own breath. This is a great exercise for spine mobility. Ensure your core is engaged to that 20 to 30% and your pelvic floor is engaged to 20 to 30%. Deep breathing here. Breathing is really important for all our exercises and particularly this one. You may continue with this hand motion, or you can move into Cossack, which is where you place your hands on your forearm of the opposite arm. And keep that in front of you. Inhale in the center, exhale as you move to one side. Inhale and then exhale as you return to the center. Continue with this motion. If you'd like a further progression of arms, you can move them out in front of you and imagine you're holding a giant beach ball in front of you. Continue with that arm motion. Keep that concentration and that focus. Keep that beach ball held gently but firmly in front of you. When you're ready, return to center and gently let your arms back to your knees. This exercise is the roll-up. Please come to a seated position on your mat with your feet flat on your mat. Take a deep inhale, and on your exhale, have a gentle curve of the spine, tilting the pelvis. Inhale back up to a tall seated position. On your exhale, you tilt the pelvis and curve the spine, and slowly, in a controlled manner, come down onto the mat with arms going over your head. Take an inhale. On your exhale, leading with your arms, slowly come back up into a seated tall position. Your core should be engaged. Inhale, exhale, curve the spine, tilt the pelvis, and slowly come down onto the mat. You can stretch out your legs in front of you if you wish, or you may remain with your feet on the mat, your choice. Come into a tall seated position, inhale, and on your exhale, you roll back down in a slow and controlled manner. Inhale at the bottom, exhale, leading with your arms, coming back up into a tall seated position, arms out straight ahead of you. Inhale, on your exhale, you curve the spine, tilt the pelvis, and slowly come back down onto the mat, arms overhead. Inhale, and on your exhale, leading with the arms, you slowly come back up into a roll-up position with your arms out ahead of you. Again, inhale, and your exhale, slowly roll down onto the mat. Inhale, exhale, arms first, leading you back up into that seated position. Inhale at the top, curve that spine, tilt that pelvis onto the floor, arms overhead. Inhale, and your exhale, lead it back up for your final time. Arms forward in front of you. Inhale. Brilliant job today. Well done. please do your own final stretches. Have a great day.